You're listening to the Social U podcast, sponsored by Social University. Be sure to follow us on our socials listed in the show notes. Now, let's dive in.
I'm Becky Johnson.
And I'm Laura Black, and welcome to the Social U podcast.
This week, we are doing something a little bit different than anything we have done before. I know we've only had a few podcasts so far, but this is different than anything we've done on either of the podcasts. Today, we are going to be power scaling the different CEOs of all the different social media platforms. And I think it's going to be a little harder than at first I was thinking it might be. I looked up some pictures of these people, and it's going to be a tough competition.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be quite interesting, though. I'm ready. I'm ready. It's going to be fun.
One thing I think I have learned while looking up pictures of these people is that with endless amounts of money, you can really get into shape. I do not have endless amounts of money, and I could not beat any of these people in a fist fight. I couldn't even probably punch past their wallets, but these people have personal chefs and trainers, and they work out. All of them look like they work out. So round one, we're going to go with the Pinterest CEO, Bill Reddy, and Adam Mosseri, the Instagram CEO. Now, these two I couldn't find great, like, full body pictures of, but just know that Pinterest CEO guy is a big dude. He's a big dude. And Adam Mosseri looks like he would not be a big dude, but then when you see pictures of him next to other people, he's super tall and super lean. I also look nerdy, so I feel like I can say this, even though he looks a little nerdy, I do feel like he would be a force to be reckoned with. So who's your pick in round one, Bill or Adam?
Which one was the tall, lean one?
That's Adam.
Okay, Adam. I'm thinking it's funny that I don't know what these people look like, but I'm going to go Adam because I don't know. There's something about that lean. I don't know. Sometimes he looks a little muscular. I don't know, but there's something about that lean tough. You know, my husband's not a big dude, and he doesn't look all buff like that. And he's pretty strong. So I'm going to go with him.
It's like that swimmer's build.
Yes.
Like he's built like a swimmer, and swimmers are deceptively strong.
Agreed.
I'm also going to go with Adam Mosseri. And part of the reason is because I do feel like he has a height advantage, but also just because I feel like Instagram could beat up Pinterest. So that's going to have a little bias for me.
Yeah, definitely apples and oranges on the platforms, but it has more bite than Pinterest, I think. So,
yeah. So our next round is going to be perhaps the toughest round. And that is Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has trained for MMA fighting. You can see in the picture, he's like super ripped there in the picture. I don't really know if he's human. We talked about this last week. He may be an android, but he looks pretty ripped. There were some pictures from a while back of Elon Musk on the beach where he was total dad bod and was not super ripped like Mark Zuckerberg. Well, recently he has lost a lot of weight and apparently has gotten a lot more ripped. And also, in the same way that Mark Zuckerberg could be an android, Elon Musk could be a cyborg, because we know he has a company that has the money and the technology to make that happen. So who you got in Elon versus Mark?
Mm-hmm. So you can, I'm also going back to say, we can do this on so many levels. It could be physical. It could be, I guess, mental toughness. It could be, there's so many layers we could compare those to.
Uh-huh.
But physically, I'd probably have to go Mark, but I don't know. I think Elon's kind of crafty, so there may be that surprise element in there. So
True.
I don't know. I guess that's where I would fall, just because Mark's had a lot more training.
Yeah, I think it's the MMA training that really put it over the edge for me. I'm also going to go with Mark. I think that Elon could probably beat most people that were just normal tech people.
Oh, absolutely.
But he doesn't have the MMA training that I know of. With the money he has, he could have had ninja training. I don't know. But Mark Zuckerberg has publicly had MMA training, so he's going to win for me.
And then there's that whole layer of back to a couple episodes ago where we were like, is it fake? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it real? These are pictures we pulled on the internet. So are they real?
Right. Even the ones that are real, like the Kardashian pictures, that's not what they really look like either. And those are their real pictures, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So if we go with Mark and Adam from our first 2 rounds, who wins the fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Adam Mosseri? Keeping in mind that they are both part of Meta, so they probably wouldn't want to hurt each other too bad because they're both making money off of each other. But who's going to take that one?
I'm going to say that Mark looks, I hate to say meaner because I don't know the guy, but I don't know. The tall guy, what's his name again?
Adam.
He looks more like chill, but still waters run deep. You know what I mean? So there may be some surprises, but I probably just on the surface, I'd say Zuck.
Same. Again, it's coming down to the MMA training for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my friends who is a big, tall dude, kind of looks like Adam. He's like a big, tall swimmer build guy. He's actually friends with a girl who is one of the top MMA fighters in female MMA.
Yeah.
And in her weight class, I mean, she is like 5 feet tall, 100 pounds. And he is like a big, strong climbing dude. Like he does a lot of climbing. He's got mad arm strength. He wrestled her one time for fun and she whooped him. All 100 pounds of her had him pinned in no time. And he is at least 6'3" and super strong. So I feel like the training counts for a lot to me.
Well, and I don't know a lot about MMA, but I feel like a large chunk of that is mental. And her being, half or less the size of this other guy, if she applied mental principles too and was smart about it, it's possible. Women don't be intimidated by if you're getting attacked or something like that. No, know your surroundings, know what you can do, know what tricks you can have up your sleeve, because even in a situation like that, she took him down.
Yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up. Yeah,
Karen,
sorry.
What are you dying to say, Karen?
Mark Zuckerberg will kick Adam Mosseri's ass all day long.
Here we go.
So if we go with Mark over all these, then our final showdown is between Mark Zuckerberg and TikTok CEO Shou Chew. Now, this picture of him, he didn't have any shirtless pictures that I could find like Elon and Mark had, but he's always in a suit. This is the one I felt like you could see his physique kind of the best.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a slouch.
He does not. And I will say he looks like he would be way smaller than these other guys, but he also looks way younger. So I feel like he has an age advantage in that he is a lot younger and maybe hasn't had the toll taken on his body that people like Mark and Elon and myself have had from age. So I haven't really seen a lot from him. So I don't really know a lot about him except that he is younger and smaller and has a whole bunch of money and can also train as much as he wants to. So who you got between Shou Chew and Mark Zuckerberg?
I'm going to say physically, I still think Mark. But, I just did a quick Google search on him just to see more pictures. And mentally, I'm not so sure. I mean, he looks like he has a lot of practice in front of crowds, in front of committees, in front of all kinds of things. So physically, I'm going to go Mark.
I will say I saw a video of him speaking and he was so composed. He was talking in one of the places about people wanting to shut down TikTok here in the US, and he was just so composed and so eloquent. And so I do think he has mental toughness, but I don't know if it's enough to overcome the MMA training.
See, it goes back to MMA. I think maybe we should enroll in a class.
Right. I feel like he's just got the most fighting experience.
Hey, that'd be a whole new fun segment. Laura and Becky go train MMA.
I would love that. I would love
It's so fun.
Well, my gym, one of the trainers at my gym is Buster Douglas, who is the guy that beat Mike Tyson and was the reason Mike Tyson lost the heavyweight champion title.
Really?
So yeah, he just now randomly is the trainer at my gym.
Wow. You're like, hey, Buster, what's up?
He is from the Columbus area. And after he had his millions and retired and didn't have to work anymore, he wanted to give back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally works at a rec center in Columbus, Ohio, teaching boxing to mainly children, but to anyone who wants to learn boxing, he will teach you boxing. But for children, it's free. So he teaches free boxing to children. And for me, it's negligible the amount that I have to pay.
That's amazing. I love it when you see people showing their heart like that. They could sit down and just be counting their money all day, and they're making a difference in their community. That's awesome.
And he's probably going to live a lot longer than if he just retired and just sat at home watching TV. Like, he's still boxing every day.
Yeah.
Even though it may be with like 10-year-olds, he still every morning has to get up, get dressed, put the little hand pads on and get hit all day.
He's active.
Love it.
Yeah. They say don't stop. If you stop, you're done. Keep going, keep moving.
So here's a question, just for fun. We have determined that Mark Zuckerberg wins the whole round. Who wins in a fight between Facebook and TikTok?
TikTok. And that says a lot coming from me because I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not a TikTok fan, but it has so much punch right now. No pun intended.
Nice.
I'm so punny. But TikTok has a big punch right now. And I think even though Facebook still has the most subscribers, right? From what I was looking at this morning, just to get the most current numbers, they're still the most subscribers. But man, TikTok is growing and it's super, super popular.
It's weird because it's so hard for new platforms to get a foothold. And as soon as TikTok came on the scene, it was just like an immediate explosion. It was all of a sudden like the most downloaded app the year that it came out. And it has really exploded. So Karen, now I want you to come in and tell us who your pick is for ultimate social media CEO champion.
Zuckerberg. He fights dirty. He plays to win.
That is another way to look at it.
Boy, does he fight dirty.
I mean, we have often said he doesn't like anybody else in his sandbox. So.
No, he doesn't allow third-party integrations. He and Elon have had beef for so long. Yeah, I can't imagine the two of them. Oh, I'm sorry. There is only one thing the two of them agree on. Getting rid of TikTok.
That's true.
Which is the next topic for discussion today. What's going to happen to TikTok?
Okay, let me bring you up to speed on what's happening there. They've been trying to get rid of TikTok for a while. Congress is forcing sale through divestment for TikTok. And their whole reasoning behind it is they're saying they want China to sell off their part so it's safe. 60% of TikTok is owned by Global Investment. The largest investor is a man who lives in Philadelphia. 20% is owned by the founding partners who are both Singaporean, not Chinese. And 20% is owned by the actual employees, including thousands of employees who live in the United States. The main servers for TikTok are housed in the United States. There is no information overseas. So all this time, they have been basically promoting propaganda to scare people into wanting to sell. So they couldn't get it to go through when they used that terminology. So instead, what they did, there was a package for aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine, where they're giving money, and they're going to give Gaza like $91 billion. So they couldn't get it to go through. So they separated it out on separate bills, but they added language to divest TikTok on the bottom of one of these bills. It's a writer on the bottom. They have 6 to 12 months to sell. And what it means is if the stockholders don't sell, then they'll shut it down. So my question is, Who are they trying to force sell? The people in the United States, the people in Singapore, or the man who lives in Philadelphia? Because he owns most of it. And I did a little bit more digging. The CIA, the FBI have both said they qualify it as a hypothetical threat, but they don't see it as a threat. And we're talking about 2023, it generated $14.7 billion for small businesses in the United States. It's going to hit a lot of people really, really hard. You can go look up and see lobbyists that have been paid and that kind of thing. But Twitter and Facebook have made major contributions to lobbyists in the last 24 months. And I have to think that this is why, because this is the place where the unedited news is actually hitting the airwaves. They don't have control over the messaging, and they can't perpetuate their own agenda. So they want it gone.
So from what I understand, it has been passed by a huge margin in the House, but it still has to go to
They're voting on it. Yeah, the Senate votes today.
And I have seen tons and tons of articles encouraging, especially young people, to call their senators and make their wishes known.
Yep. We're making a video about it tomorrow for our TikTok channel, because until Biden signs it, it's not. But he said that he will. But surely if, 170 million TikTok users make their voice heard to their Congress, but it didn't work before. We've been screaming about it for the last several years. And
which kind of begs the question, if you are an elected official, your job is to serve the interests of your constituency, not your personal interests. And if this large number of people is saying, hey, this is what we want, and you say, I think I know better, and you do something different, how does that bode for reelection?
Well, there is a TikTok politician who probably shouldn't say his name out loud, but he has 2.1 million followers. He got famous on TikTok talking about freedom of speech and speaking for the people, and then went directly into this vote and voted to ban the app.
Wow.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. He voted in the original vote, he voted to ban, but in this one, he got spanked so badly online by the people who said, what happened to you, that he abstained from voting on this most recent.
Oh my goodness.
He still couldn't vote the way that his people wanted him to. He had to abstain.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he took a beating online because he cut his teeth on TikTok. He got famous on TikTok, got all of this support from TikTok, and now he's voting to ban the app. What is wrong with you?
I'm interested to see how the Senate vote goes today.
I am too.
And even if it passes, they have a year. So the Chinese interest has to sell their stake within a year.
But there's no Chinese interest. The guy is Singaporean.
What are they basing that on?
Well, because the guy is Asian, they assume he's Chinese.
There's got to be more to it.
There's got to be more to it, but he's never had any affiliations with the Communist Party. They're so worried about data. The biggest data breach we've ever had, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Why isn't anybody regulating that?
Does it go back to prior owners? Has that ever been owned over there then?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I would take this whole conversation a different way, because I think once you start banning platforms, we have to look at why. And if you start banning one, what's next? And what's next? And then who has the control of it?
I don't think they realize the domino they're pushing over. Mm-hmm. If this passes, this is going to allow Congress to step in, or let's just say our political parties to step in and dictate what appears where and how it's skewed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge infringement.
And it goes back to the Twitter junk in the last several years about telling certain people they can't post on Twitter. Like, okay, I realize there's that line of inciting whatever, but who are you to decide what I can post on the platform? It's a public platform.
About a year ago, there was a huge protest in France and they shut down the airport. Do you guys know about this?
A little bit, not much.
This is how well the secret was kept. It didn't show up on any major news platform except for TikTok. And there were videos of people, things were on fire. If you came into the airport, they had those streets shut down for You had to get your luggage and walk 2 miles to get a car because you couldn't get that close to the airport because there were fires.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only platform, if you went to Instagram and Googled it, it showed the Eiffel Tower and people eating cheese. And then you went to TikTok, everything's on fire because that's what was really happening.
So that goes along with something that you said a second ago that I think is kind of important. And that's not everybody. So everybody listening to this that is American, please do not get offended. But I feel like part of the problem is that a lot of Americans don't know the difference between China and Singapore and Taiwan and all these things. So they are talking about things that they may not even really understand. And it's like this broad stereotyping that happens. I was walking down the street with a friend of mine the other day. His parents are Chinese, but he has lived in the United States his entire life. He speaks English, obviously, as well as I do, maybe better. And we were walking down the street and literally somebody on the street said something to him about karate because apparently because he is of Asian descent, he obviously knows karate, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of people that just can't get past the stereotypes and have no understanding of geography to know that these things are not actually the same place. People don't even really understand what they're fighting against.
And I have Chinese friends, and when COVID, the virus first came out, they took flack because they look Chinese. And it's just so wrong. It's so wrong to stereotype in so many places. We've got to get the facts straight and figure it out.
Right. And it's like, what did those people do? What did your friends do? What on earth did my friend do that would make anybody think that he knew karate other than just exist, you know?
Exactly. And my friends have lived here. I mean, they were born here.
And you have people who go to get their nails done and they're like, the Chinese lady did much. She's not Chinese.
It's another problem I feel like a lot of Americans have is if they see somebody that has Asian features, they're all Chinese. We don't understand that Vietnamese people, Korean people, Japanese people also exist, and they actually don't look the same. But most Americans are like, oh, and I say most, maybe not most, but in the
A lot.
places that I have lived, which has included the South and the North now, the majority of the people that I have been around don't understand the differences.
Yeah. So where does TikTok go? What's going to happen? Going to be fun. We'll have the popcorn, like the meme with the guy eating the popcorn at movies, watching the conversation back and forth because it's either way, there's going to be waves from it.
I think Karen thinks that it's going to go away. I'm going to be optimistic and say that I think it's going to stay.
I'm going to tell you, if they ban it in the United States, I will run, not walk, to a VPN that says I live in Canada to access that website.
And a lot of people will. So like, what's the point?
I don't think it's going anywhere.
There's too many small businesses that make their bread. I mean, it's literally their bread and butter. There's too many creators that make so much money. It's been life-changing for so many people. I just can't get behind a ban. And I know I'm biased. It's my favorite platform. I do research on these platforms all the time. I have serious issues with Facebook.
We've gotten business from TikTok. We've gotten several leads from there.
We've gotten more leads through TikTok than any other platform. It's the least invasive. And for those of you guys who have had Meta inflicted on your business page, you don't know what I'm talking about.
So true.
So in a fight, Zuckerberg would win because fight's dirty. And if he was losing, he would just make a major contribution financially. So they would think it's not
A major contribution to the referee.
Yes. It's something like 20 million from Twitter and 20 million from Facebook to lobbyists in the last 12 months.
I just love that none of us will say X. We all
Twitter.
And we don't say Meta either. It's Facebook. And
Meta is so annoying.
Yeah. I have such big feelings on all this. I really do. And I know it's got to drive you guys crazy.
Karen does have big feelings.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt where you stand, and that's not a bad thing.
I am so full of opinions. My apologies.
You know, Laura, that's why Karen's hair is so big. It's full of opinions.
Seriously, we have had so much growth from TikTok. We've had so many leads from TikTok. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to think that our political representatives had to hide this in another bill to force it through because they couldn't do it the first time.
I think it's wrong to hide stuff in bills anyway. I didn't mean for us to go political today.
Well, political parties aside, it doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter.
It shouldn't be allowed anyway.
The
Period.
parties are so united on this. It got an overwhelming majority vote, and they came in and voted on a Saturday. Now, this is the same group of people who can't agree on universal health care. They can't agree on daycare assistance for parents who need assistance to work. They can't agree on assistance for people who need help buying food. They can't agree on it. They can't agree on anything. By God, they agreed on getting rid of TikTok. And now, if you guys want to go to the source, if you want to go to TikTok and get some more information, they have a very robust search engine. You can probably get information for both sides. One of my favorite resources is Under the Desk News, because not only does she constantly reads about it, she also attends a lot of these things. So she'll give you, like, you can see her face in the background when they're doing news highlights. So she's trying to give you the most up-to-date information possible. And they got that big feelings. But she's got if you want to hear the research, she's got all the research too.
You can see her face in the background with her eyes rolling out of her head. Is that what you're saying?
There's so many things that would have not been brought to light. Okay.
And I'm a firm believer if there's something big and people are pushing something big, what's the distraction?
Why?
Yeah. Why aren't you showing me this?
Yeah.
I feel like there should be, and maybe I just don't know enough about it, and it would just clog up the system so bad that nothing would get passed. But I feel like you should have to pass everything on its own bill.
Yep. Me too.
So that you don't have hidden things that people pass, even if they don't want to, just because they really, really want to get this other thing passed.
Well, I feel like I've heard a lot lately, like there are 1,000-page bills and however, these monstrous bills that they give 2 days to even read them. Like you can't even get through that in 2 days, let alone comprehend it.
Hey, I have just found a new use for AI.
Right?
Read this bill and tell me what they're not wanting me to see.
And you'll have senators and congressmen caught in live interviews all the time where they're asking them about a bill they just voted on. They have no idea what it was.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Sadly, as someone who I love Alabama. I love everything about Alabama. But one of our folks was just caught in an interview and they were asking him questions and he didn't even know what he voted on.
Ooh.
It's got to make you not look great.
It was bad.
Well, yeah, I don't keep track as much because I'm in the great state of Texas now, but I am originally from there. So I do have a little bit of interest.
Lauren, quit to state. I don't live in Alabama.
No, I also do not live in Alabama anymore. So, but I am interested because I got a couple of sons that live in Alabama. So I got to stay up to date.
Yeah.
Okay. Social media hotline of the week. Let's do it.
Social media hotline. And you want to, and you're good. And then, okay. Well, the answer is no. And that could have been a text. Okay. Thank you for calling. Okay. Bye-bye.
So many times.
If our inner monologue could actually come out, how many times a week would you say, okay, that could have been a text?
Every 5 minutes.
Pretty much every time someone calls me.
Now, I understand needing to have an email trail. That I get because there's so many times you need it to be in writing.
Yes.
But you just have clients, and I have no issue with that. If you, as a client, if you want to call, that's fine. But a lot of the inquiries and stuff we get, it would go so much faster if it was a text or an email.
And I think that's a misconception is people think I need this to be fast. I'll call. When really that is not as fast. Then if I can just read it and go fix it, then not have to talk to you for 15 minutes about it and then go fix it, you know?
Well,
Go ahead.
We do a feature online. You can go make an appointment through Calendly and you can get your 15-minute discovery or consultation, and we're happy to do that. But if you leave a message on a Facebook DM or a TikTok DM, our team monitors that. So if I'm busy or I can't get to it, somebody will probably see it and then we'll respond in 24 hours anyway.
And sometimes I think we get wrapped up, women especially, in explaining our whole situation. And if it's something you don't understand that well to begin with, you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So I understand when people want to call. I get
Well,
that. So
there is one exception. There's always an exception. But the exception is Facebook recovery. I have to have the backstory. I have to know all the details. We have to get all the information because it's hard enough to do Facebook recovery as it is. But if you don't have the whole story, it makes it impossible.
Right. Because then when you're chatting with Facebook, if you don't answer back in a timely manner, they will close your chat. So you need to know the information before they ask for it.
Okay. Good example. We're doing recovery for a client to get her access to her page. Got her access to her page. Yay. Except for the page that was compromised and hacked still has control as the community manager. Why?
It's very frustrating.
Very frustrating. So yeah, that's the one exception where I absolutely have to schedule a call. I have to get all the information. It's just, there's no other way around it.
I've never had to deal with TikTok support. Speaking of TikTok versus Facebook, but I can't imagine it's as terrible.
It can't be.
It could be as bad as it could be and not be as terrible, or at least not more terrible, even if it's as terrible. If I could tell Mark Zuckerberg one thing, it would be make your customer support better and make it something that is included for all people.
They don't care.
They don't, because they already have all the money, so they
They've
don't.
got all the money. And we've experienced fraud. I had fraudulent charges put on my credit card in November.
Right, like thousands of dollars into individuals or small businesses. That's pocket change to him, but like to us, that's a lot of money.
I think to normal people, it's a lot of money, which is why I'm a huge advocate for safety first, which is why every opportunity I get, I'm going to say over and over, make sure you've got at least 16 character passwords, do a 2-party verification, change your password every 60 days. It goes a long way. I'll put people to do a random weird sentence like my chicken's riding on a unicorn and the camel thinks it's funny. Stuff like that that's weird, but you can remember that.
yeah.
The owls are not what they seem.
Yeah.
Don't use that. That's from a show. A great show if you haven't watched it. The original Twin Peaks. 5 out of 5 would watch it.
Wow, that's an oldie.
That's a throwback. Why don't you
Oh,
just say Firefly and be done with it, Becky?
I also love that one, but I feel like the quotes from that would be easier to recognize as passwords.
Is there anything better than Nathan Fillion? No. The answer is no.
Doesn't he hide things for people to find in real life?
Well, didn't think I could like him any more than I did, but now I do.
I'm pretty sure on his social media, he'll be somewhere in a city and he'll autograph something and hide it and then give a clue and wait for people to find it.
Yeah, and now he's posting on TikTok pictures of him and his cat. What's on Sippin Social Tea, Bex?
Sippin Social Tea. This is one Karen actually sent me this week. So
okay.
I know she's gonna have some feelings.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm 25 and I've worked as a social media manager for the last 6 years in a country where being a social media manager means anyone could do it without going to a university. Although I have plenty of experience for my age, sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough and I should change my career path. Does anyone else feel that way? Imposter syndrome. There it is.
Yeah.
If you read the comments on that post, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the education, it doesn't matter the number of years experience, you're going to have imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those fields where experience matters greatly because it changes so often.
And I feel like when she says in a country, I don't know what country she's in, but this could be the United States because you can get this job without having a college degree if you've got the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that gives some people the imposter syndrome is that there are people that have digital marketing degrees and that there's some people that don't, but they have more experience than the people that have the digital marketing degrees. And then there's people that have a digital marketing degree and experience, and then they still also have the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, anybody can do it, in quotes. Anybody can do it. Everybody can't do it well, but can do it. You don't have to know how to like code to do social media, but you do have to understand strategy and algorithms and the history of the platforms.
I call this the Ratatouille principle. A great social media manager can come from anywhere, but not everyone can be a great social media manager.
Yes.
I think this job title, it's a lot like graphic designer. They lump in they lump in code with graphic designing. That's not even in the same ballpark,
Nope.
let alone the same field. So your social media manager they get a lot dumped on them because people don't have a firm grasp of what they do or what their capabilities are. And people who are specifically skilled in SEO doesn't mean they can make a graphic to go on Instagram. Right.
Right. I feel like you're expected to be a graphic designer, a copywriter, an SEO expert, like all of the things.
Ad expert. Yeah. You can't be all things to all people. And even a great social media manager may not be the person you want to write your blog. We do have excellent blog writers on our team, but that doesn't mean our whole team wants to do that. Or that
Right. That's one of the benefits of having a team,
right? Yeah. Teamwork always makes the dream work. It's hard to be an army of one.
But I mean, I have imposter syndrome. I've been doing this since 2008. I've been doing social media exclusively since 2010. That's 14 years. And I still have those days where I'm like, it's just so much. I can't imagine the stress of becoming a social media manager today and having to learn all this stuff at one time.
Plus it changes on the fly.
And let's just use Instagram as the example. Put your caption in the description. Oh, put it in the comments. No, put your hashtags in the comments. No, put your hashtags in the description. Don't use hashtags. Use 3 hashtags. No, let's put them back in the cap. Oh my gosh. Make up your mind.
Right. Yep. Do one photo, do a carousel, do a video, do a combination.
Yes.
Like,
and you'll have a discussion with a client who's like, that's not what I heard. They changed it 2 months ago. I'm telling you what's up to the minute right now.
Yep. That's one of the things I think too that gives people imposter syndrome is when your client says, oh, I watched a webinar yesterday that says we should do it like this. And it's like, first of all, you watched a webinar from somebody that's not a social media expert. And this webinar was published 6 months ago.
So we get I went to a marketing conference. I cannot tell you how many conferences, one in particular I can think of. There's a professional speaker who's talking about social media, and I had 2 team members with me, and they turned around and looked at me. I'm like, I am not calling out a professional speaker in the middle of their presentation, but that information's wrong. I'm like, this is not my circus. These are not my monkeys.
Yeah.
So it does happen. You do have people from the podium that it's just not right information.
Right.
And it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, sometimes they'll update it. I did a presentation on LinkedIn and they updated Creator Studio the week before.
Yeah. And that is a good point is when you are listening to one of those speakers at a conference or something, if they give you a lot of information without a why behind it, if they just say, do this, do this, do this, but they don't tell you why, it could be great information, but it could be that they don't know why and it's not stuff that's actually true.
Yeah.
I love one of the things that you do when you speak is give people the reasoning for why we're saying to do these things, because here are the numbers and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. You can thank Therese for that and an entire childhood of because I said so. That's why.
For those that don't know, that's Karen's mom.
Yeah. I hated that. I still hate that. Yeah. I love the why.
I have learned though, as a mom of many, that I never thought I would say because I said so, and now I do. And it's not because I don't feel the need to explain. It's that when I start trying to explain my reasoning to my kids, they totally zone out and don't care and don't want to hear it. So I'm just wasting my breath.
Oh, and I get tired of the argue.
And
15-year-old argue.
Yeah, but sometimes the why is beyond their comprehension.
Yup.
So you just have to stop it.
Mommy knows why, and that's all that matters. Mommy wants to keep you safe, and you have no safety awareness. So that's why.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't have to monitor 9 kids all day, every day. You've got how many littles under 6?
I have 5 that are 10 and under.
So many kids.
3, a 5, a 6, a 7, a 10.
Oh, kids.
18, 19, 19, 20.
You know, Becky, so impressive. Hats off. And they're good kids.
Yeah, they're great kids.
They are good kids. Despite my best efforts at failing at parenthood, they are great kids. This was fun. Let's do it again next week.
Same time, same place. Next week.
Thanks for listening to the Social U podcast, sponsored by Social University. We'll see you next week.